Hi. Well, I haven't been doing many videos. After a while, I don't know how everybody does it once a week. It's just amazing to me. And I watch a lot of those. But anyway, I wanted to update a couple of things. I've changed some things in my shop. I made a couple new workbenches, well, an assembly table and a workbench. And so I was going to show you, this is going to be an addendum to my SuperSled, which is right here. And I'll give you an idea of what actually I've done with this. I added this arm here that goes on top, and now I can come out quite a ways for longer boards to cut. So it works really well. And then what I've got, I'll show you the face of it in a second. I'll have to move the camera to do that, but I'm also going to show you what I did. I made like a zero clearance plate setup, and it seems to work pretty well, but I'll show you how that is. Okay, here this is from the other side, and this is that arm. So on the face of it is a T-slot, and I made several different ones that can go in there, but it slides out, and you can see the old T-slot that's underneath, which I still use. I just take this bar off. It just slides off. And so it works pretty good. And I suppose you remember in my other ones how you put this in here and you can use it to cut angles and so on, where you put the board along like this. But here's my zero clearance. And what I did is I routed out, and you can see the back is also part of it, but in this case it doesn't come up very high because I just use it to cut some 1/4-inch dados in the bottom of some drawers. But anyway, this one is for 1/4-inch dados, and I really don't care how wide this slot gets in here, because underneath I have new pieces that fit in here. You just unscrew 4 screws and 2 screws in the back, and there's the 2 screws up in front, and I mark them. So I get a constant zero clearance, and especially with a thin curve, as this gets a little bit off from wobble, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, I can just put a new one in. I made a bunch of these boards that aren't cut yet, and I'll show you a couple here in a second. Okay, so here is the blank, and all it is square board with the holes cut in the right spot, and there's the shorter piece that goes in the back. And here's one that's already cut for thin curve, and so I can just unscrew this 1/4-inch dado one, screw this one in, and it's good to go. So that's kind of how I've reset this up. Now, I'll tell you something. It's kind of heavy, this bigger one, and I manage with it, but I don't use it as often as you'd think I would, and I'll tell you why here in a second. Let me get this back on the tripod. Okay, the reason that I'm not using it as much is at an estate sale I bought one of those Incra. It's the 5000 series. It's like a sled. It works like a sled, but it isn't really completely a sled. But I will tell you something, it really works great. And I have a feeling, because I have the smaller, I think it's 1000 or 2000 HD, and it's not a sled, but it's got the same arm with the same stops on it and that sort of thing. And I use that all the time for cross cuts. And it's just shorter ones. Well, now this new one, I can do I think the bar itself goes out about 32 inches, something like that, and then it will expand out another 30 inches or so. So it's pretty amazing, and it's much lighter than this, easier to store. And I bought it this bigger one at an estate sale, and full knowing that I could buy parts, because you can go to Incra's site and they link you to a parts place that has all the parts and pieces for this stuff. And I was able to repair it, and so I've got about $120 into it, and they cost $350 to buy new. And but I swear I would save up for one, because it's amazing how well it works and how easy it is to change your angles and so on. You can buy extra cutoff boards so that, because once you cut one side of your sled, you're cutting on the side that your blade doesn't move. It expands on the other side, and you can buy different boards for that, and you can have it, for half-inch dados and doing angles and so on. So I think that, anyway, for the I'm not going to get rid of this right now, but for the next few months when I'm making things and using a crosscut sled, I think what I'm going to do is use the Incra and see if I really do like it better. But I really think I'm probably going to. But anyway, I'm going to do another video on my smaller sled, because I think you've seen that before, but maybe not. I'll check and see, because it has a different way of doing zero clearance, so you can change it without having to have 3 or 4 of them for doing different things. And it's smaller, easier to handle, and works very well for cutting like boxes and things like that. Thanks.